Okay, thank you. From spatial planning perspective. Now, wow, this is very hard to see. I'm not sure if anything can be done about this. And I think it's too late to. Okay, please, can you come in? Okay, not all of them have white background. So, are you able to make it out? I mean, a little bit? Read to you? Okay. Okay, I start by defining what is sustainability, sustainable development. And the UN defines it as any development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs, can be referred to as sustainable development. I went beyond this typical definition and just quickly found the synonyms of sustainability. And these are some of the words that I found: maintainable, supportable, bearable, lasting, and viable. I was most interested in viability. So I looked further, and it says, able to work as intended or able to succeed. Connecting this with spatial planning is simply having a community that we can maintain and is able to work for us. Able to work as intended, in my view, means having been able to plant and implemented as planned and maintained as planned. So that is what I couch sustainability as. So, like I said, the definition, based on what I've just said, can be many, but basically, it is communities that are planned, built, or modified to promote sustainable living. Sustainable communities tend to focus on environmental and economic sustainability, as well as infrastructure and social equity. What are the main features of sustainability? Resources and services in the city are accessible to all. Public transport is safe and reliable. Walking and cycling is safe. Open spaces are safe, accessible, and enjoyable. We all know that a lot of our open space, even the formal parks that we have, sometimes are not, a very, very pleasant place to actually hang out at all. Renewable resources are used instead of non-renewable resources in sustainable communities. Proper management of waste, including the 3 R's, reuse, reduce, and recycle, are prevalent in communities that are sustainable. Homes, not just new homes, are usually energy efficient, and there is access to affordable housing, and there are community linkages, and cultural and social amenities are accessible to all. Now, wow, this is very hard to read, but what this slide is asking is, do we have sustainable communities or cities in Ghana at all, based on what we've heard from my colleague and what I have defined as sustainable community? So far, I have just introduced you to the, community sustainability. This is a question that I'm posing to you, and I think based on what I have told you and our knowledge of Ghana and our existing conditions, it is safe to say that sustainable communities are lacking, or maybe we are not there or getting there. I don't know where I'll end, but I'll leave it for you to ponder over it. This is a picture of the Kaneshie market. As I defined earlier, sustainable communities should be able to, we should be able to manage. In this case, we should be able to manage our garbage and sanitation. And it's clear from here that we are not doing so well. It always floods whenever there is a downpour. Even 30 minutes downpour leads us into, flooding. So obviously, we have problems with planning and implementing our drainage systems. And even those that we do have, we do not maintain. Most of the time, you see drains, but they are either filled with sand or filled with garbage. This is Kejetia, and just look at how it's quite obvious that this is not planned at all. Very, very congested. Even though I know there is a new Kejetia being built, but still, we still have this now, as we speak. This is a typical settlement along our coast. Elsewhere, beaches are the most expensive properties, and you see fantastic high-rises and very well-designed urban spaces. But here is our beaches. Just, I think even from the castle, you can see a typical development like this. And it's very close to the castle. Again, as I said, even where we have provided drainage, they are filled, typically with garbage or sand, most of the time, including the so-called first-class residential areas. Communities 18, 20, and all those, which are well-planned, in quotes, still have these, maybe not garbage like this, but at the very minimum, sand, dirt fills the drains. This is a typical, probably, neighborhood which will be considered reasonably good to live in. But you look at it, and we don't have good sidewalks, or even if we do, a lot of times they are obstructed with poles, as you can see. There are no street markings. There are no well-planned and interval trees being planted there. And I don't know where to put the blame, but it's obvious that this is not what can be considered as a sustainable community, and for that matter, neighborhood. This doesn't look too bad, but still, we don't have sidewalks. This is Osu. It looks like pedestrians are usually conflicting with traffic, and it's quite congested. We are not, there are some interventions that exist. It's not all that gloomy as I have painted it. For instance, we have some new urban arterials. The N1 is nice. Others behind the airport are nice. The beach roads are nice. But the question is, have they been implemented to the latter as designed? In this case, we do have sidewalks. A lot of times we don't have sidewalks. We don't have bicycle lanes. The roads are nice, but you realize that we still have huge congestions. Is it that our transportation planners are not doing the jobs that they must do to ensure that there is good traffic flow? For instance, if you look at this picture on the right, I mean, the other side of the roadway, the capacity is like fantastic. I mean, there's no vehicles there, but on the left side, as you face it, it's very, very, very congested. Like I said, it's not all that bad. We have block of spaces that are being developed, and they look nice. In isolation, though, they are not connected to the other areas of the city. And we ask ourselves, why is this the case? So you can have this nice neighborhood, which is at Ridge, but it's in isolation. It's on its own. Even here, you look at it closely, and you realize that we don't have sidewalks. As nice as it is, we don't have sidewalks, and we don't have road markings. So still, are we perpetuating the same issues that we've talked about, or the same issues that exist now elsewhere? That's a question that we must ask ourselves. There's another one. You walk out of your house and you don't have any sidewalks. You would be conflicting with the vehicles. Why is this why this very, very nice neighborhood, but we don't think about providing these amenities? But again, this is a vast improvement from what is this and what we have seen. So these can definitely not be considered as, necessarily, sustainable. So if you take a good look, I'll go back again. As I said, these are blocks of spaces that are being developed, and they look nice in isolation, but they do not, or they are not connected to the overall neighborhoods or the overall city for it to be considered as sustainable. If this was well developed with sidewalks and everything, and it is also connecting to the city, you're able to get to walking distance to schools for children, you can ride your bikes in your neighborhoods, and so on and so forth. This will be a fantastic, sustainable community. Why do we lack sustainability? I think the chief director alluded to this when she gave her opening remarks. Rapid urbanization is a huge factor. Rapid urbanization is leading to aging infrastructure, and we are just unable to catch up with the growing population as far as infrastructure development is concerned. We don't have affordable housing, and it's led to homelessness and people taking any space that they can get to put their kiosk there and sleeping. It's creating slums and so on and so forth. Yes, we do have some plans, but when my colleague Kojo was presenting, it looked to me like, as far as structure plans are concerned, or local plans are concerned, local plans that are broad, I'm not talking about neighborhood schemes. They were all very, very old, 1970s and so on and so forth. Do we have any current Greater Accra or Tema or Kumasi? Yeah, I know we have the Greater Kumasi Spatial Development Framework, but it's a framework. Do we have good structure plans that speaks to we developing, having urban design, landscape design, and so on and so forth, and implementing them to the latter? I think we are lacking those. And also, there's also lack of or ineffective management of communities, neighborhoods. We have unkept lawns, lack of trees along streets, as I pointed out, and general lack of urban and landscape design and implementation. You have very good neighborhoods that would have beautiful homes, but you look around, and the landscape design is just, or the landscape is just not there. Good landscapes are not there. I wonder if there were thorough landscape design across, and were they implemented? If you look, for instance, even on the Spintex, which is supposed to be an okay area along the road, you don't see any trees. I think if we had good trees that are, proportionately planted, it would be a fantastic scene and pleasant to be in. We have some spaces along the Spintex Road that they are not marked, so you don't know if you are on 2 lanes or you are on some bicycle lanes, or they are supposed to be pedestrian walkways. And they are always confusing. Police wasting resources and enforcing it so much that the truck drivers will not go along that road. As a transportation planner, sometimes I wonder even if we should give that to the truck drivers to actually use. It will help with sustainability. They are carrying about probably 80% of the traffic, or passengers that are coming to town. Why shouldn't we give them priority? Anyway, that's another matter. So management is a huge thing. While maybe we plan, even if we plan, I bet you when Kumasi was planned and implemented by Osajifo, and Accra was planned and Tema was planned and implemented, they were nice. But they are not anymore. Why? Because of lack of management. Or effective management, I shouldn't say. I shouldn't say management. Now, we have developed some plans to try to ensure sustainable communities or settlements. You take the Agenda for Jobs, our medium-term policy development framework, 2017 to 2021, and we have the objective to promote sustainable, spatially integrated, balanced, and orderly development of human settlement. There is also the objective to provide adequate, safe, secure, quality, and affordable housing. My good friend Kojo mentioned housing being critical in terms of spatial development, and it's true. To have sustainable community and settlement, housing is so important. We wouldn't see so many kiosk neighborhoods and kiosk city and slums around if we had adequate housing. And basically, we also have to connect it with the rural areas by enhancing the rural quality of life. A lot of this urbanization is happening, as you and I know, because there are no opportunities in the rural areas. And so they are forced to come to the urban areas where they can make more than in the rural areas. The AU Agenda 2063 also speaks to sustainable development. And it has the goal to, for African cities and communities to develop modern and livable habitats. In pursuing this, they propose human settlement should be modernized, shelter should be delivered and improved. Every citizen should have affordable and sustainable access to quality basic necessities of life. That is the AU Agenda 2063. And typically, we develop the policy framework taking into consideration AU Agenda 2063. We also take into consideration the Sustainable Development Goals. And they all, it also speaks to developing sustainable communities. The Goal 11 speaks to making cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. There are details of it. 11.6, capital environmental impact of cities reduction. No, it's per capita environmental impact of cities. Sorry, the word it shouldn't be capital. Should be reduced. 11.2 speaks to accessible transport system for all, including the disabled. If I can, I'm not sure if that term that I'm using is the right one, but the disabled, yeah. There should be access to safe and inclusive public space. Ghana, I don't think we have public space. We don't have them at all. I mean, let alone even going to enjoy them. There should be participatory and inclusive urbanization. All are stakeholders in the urban areas, from the rich to the poor, from the child to the old man or lady, from the woman to the guy. How can we develop sustainable cities? I've given you broad goals from our medium-term development policy framework. And, oh, I apologize again. This, whenever I look there, it looks very nice on my screen, but sorry. From our medium-term policy development framework and the, AU Agenda 2063 and the and the Sustainable Development Goals. However, I think the main work ought to be done locally, and especially in our assemblies and our communities. We have developed the National Spatial Development Framework, which has provided the context for Regional Spatial Development Framework, which have been developed for some regions. Of course, District Spatial Development Framework is critical for us to be able to have communities that are sustainable. And even more important is the structures that ought to be developed by our districts and municipalities. I think we shouldn't end here. And I think, again, my good friend Kojo alluded to this comprehensive plan. The plans have to be comprehensive. We have to plan, we have to have economic plans to ensure that the cities, the towns, the communities are viable economically. We have to have recreational plans. We have to purposefully plan to put parks, plant trees, design landscapes, and ensure that we implement them to the latter. Many times I have heard that we have flooding because we are cementing so many places. Our homes, we cement there and so on and so forth, so the rains cannot seep. I totally disagree with this. Fundamentally, it doesn't make sense to me. We all have traveled outside. You never see any place where there is dirt. It's either so-called cemented, usually nicer though, or landscaped. We have about 77% of our roads untiled. So the rains should have places to go, to seep. So I think it is really lack of landscape design and its implementation. We have so many bare grounds that when it rains, of course, it will pull the sand or the dirt into the drains and choke them. I think we should have environmental plans as well. And importantly, we should also have transportation plans. Each district must develop good transportation plans. Of course, I know that it can be done in conjunction with urban roads or roads and highways and so on and so forth. But I think focusing on your community and developing, understanding your transportation plans is critical. I want to end my presentation by reading this definition that I found on the web. It was, anonymous, but I liked it so much. It says, spatial planning is largely a public sector function to influence the future spatial distribution of activities. It aims to create a more rational territorial organization of land uses and the linkages between them to balance demands for development with the need to protect the environment and to achieve social and economic objectives. Spatial planning tries to coordinate and improve the impacts of other sectorial policies on land use in order to achieve a more even distribution of economic development within a given territory than would otherwise be created by market forces. Spatial planning is therefore an important lever for promoting sustainable development and improving the quality of life. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Kwame. Even though we found it very difficult to read many of your slides, I think he's done very well. Can we also give him another round of applause? Yeah. So, I believe now we've been able to do 2 out of 3. And then now we can tell ourselves that we deserve a snack break. So, on this note, can we have about 10-15 minutes break to grab something at the entrance there? 10 minutes, yes. 10 minutes. Yes, so can we stretch a bit to get some bites of what they have provided for us? Thank you very much.
2017, the Akufo-Addo government introduced and implemented the free SHS policy, providing Ghanaians with free access to quality secondary education. In 2018, during the second year of the free SHS, government has introduced the double-track system to enable qualifying students equal access to the free SHS policy, which is largely oversubscribed. These are what some Ghanaians have to say.
The government introduced the double-track system to enable more students to get admission to school so that they can increase their literacy rate in the country. The first batch, which is the green track, they come to school for a number of days. And then after their period, the second track, which is the gold track, also come for a number of days.
The double track system is a program that's been designed by the MPP government to help enable students who are now graduating from JHS to senior high level, to enable them to go to school for free.
The double track system is a good idea. Whoever sat down to make it has helped a student from such village to enter this school. I think it's a good idea.
The double track system is going to help a lot because usually the school has a limited number of students they give admission to in the school. But due to the double track system, they doubled the number to enable other students gain admission into the school.
I think it will help a lot of parents because first, we used to pay school fees, which were very expensive. But because of the double track system and now free education, the parents wouldn't have to worry about paying school fees and then buy uniforms. It will save the parents some money.
15 million, 10 million, kami ni bianca no babetia.
My name is Benedict Obindakun. I've benefited from the free SHS and the double track system, track green. When I came here, the environment was good. And the dining hall, the food is perfect. So I like the double track system. Thank you, Ghana. Thank you, government.
Double track need the it's not say we show schools need be or more facilities, me accommodate in Colorado do or more bus school. Intimidity say ye chema, ebema at a chef for any form of Colani, so bit me a show. Anna learning materials, classroom environment, Nina Beboa.
Your family boy in Juliet. Me free Accra La Paz. Me no in Ghana's. Na you didn't buy. But the free SHS is very good. Yeah, a boy parent nyame bi anka first anka wo say anka yede ba no se ni nyina so atete amaye.
Double track managing ho pa if you say sakwani be di or start September me ba na start September na wa ba fi November ti November no be fi at least 1 or 2 months no be di wo fi no obetimi asua dia we be sua wo school obetimi asua go through asua ni nyina back nti obeba school ni na che say wan hu ni a omo pa kire ni nyina ti ebe bo ankwala no
ba je friend me Esther Ada me nana na me de ba de me hu afa double track no ho se eye me ne ha me pa ne se ni continuation and eye me problem because you started bibia na government for ba no asan sesa se o me be ye no continuation no ma twere to ho if a new party ba no so be to aso dia e ka me kwa dia nka eye.
I was admitted to Pope John Senior High School. The free SHS is true. I came without paying any school fees. And then the teachers here too. So far, I can see that they are good. And then what I'm hoping is that I learn hard. And with God on my side, I want to get good grades.
With respect to the implementation of the double tracking system, I think it's a good initiative, and it will be my greatest hope that we shouldn't have anything to relate with political affairs. It should be something that should be added or set as a policy in relation to educational programs or institutions, so as to promote the level of education in Ghana.
During this vacation, I think private classes will be held for the students so that they'll be able to learn and not be idle, and they'll be able to exercise their brain. For I know that an idle mind is a devil's workshop.
It's a good initiative.
Me the Felicia Agbako. Ya wu mi wo dakpo. Na me de me ya kwa me ye gorugo so ni ba. Se ne no nyame adarum. Na obi abeji afunwa no. Na osi awofo mu bre. Obi wo ho a ne ba na wie school no. Oko school no ma school fees yo ko ka kire. Ebi wa 50 million. Ebi wa 20 million. Ebi wa 15. Neso sa 15 and say 30 million and say 40 million oni bi. Nti aye den it say na basam go. O ma bo fra nko school no. Nso ene free education na ba. Eye abua yen awufu ne bebre. Menena yi ni oko say on onya school no okonya wo hofwe. Mentu school musika bia. They say no na me wo ka kire nana Akufo-Addo say ye mamumu ne yo.
Or deal in television sets, you are kindly advised to visit the GBC website tvlicense.com.gh to register and pay your TV license fee online via Visa card, MasterCard, Genesis card, U-Mobile, Access Mobile, Atlantic Mobile, B-Mobile, and also ETZ Mobile. It will be a shame to be imprisoned because you haven't paid your TV license. Do pay your TV license fee as soon as possible. For all inquiries about the TV license, call 056 1100800 or 056 1100900. Your TV license is your civic responsibility. You can now pay your TV license fee at any of GBC's regional or district offices. There's also a standby TV license mobile collection team available for corporate organizations and religious bodies. It would be a shame to be imprisoned because you haven't paid your TV license fee. Please pay your TV license to avoid embarrassment. For all inquiries about the TV license, call 056 056-1100-800 or 056-1100-900. Do you own or deal in television sets? You are kindly advised to visit the GBC website tvlicense.com.gh to register and pay your TV license fee online via Visa card, MasterCard, Genesis card, U-Mobile, Access Mobile, Atlantic Mobile, B-Mobile, and also ETZ Mobile. It would be a shame to be imprisoned because you haven't paid your TV license. Do pay your TV license fee as soon as possible. For all inquiries about the TV license, call 056-1100-800 or 056-1100-900.
In 2017, the Akufo-Addo government introduced and implemented the free SHS policy, providing Ghanaians with free access to quality secondary education. In 2018, during the second year of the free SHS, government has introduced the double-track system to enable qualifying students equal access to the free SHS policy, which is largely oversubscribed. These are what some Ghanaians have to say.
The government introduced the double-track system to enable more students to get admission to school so that they can increase their literacy rate in the country. The first batch, which is the green track, they come to school for a number of days. And then after their period, the second track, which is the gold track, also come for a number of days.
The double track system is a program that's been designed by the MPP government to help enable students who are now graduating from JHS to senior high level, to enable them to go to school for free.
Mentia na mi hu say obi aba achimota enam double track mo de banti ama echiche no ebi so aso mba no so amna be pia de mota ha.
The double track system is a good idea. Whoever sat down to make it has helped a student from such village to enter this school. I think it's a good idea.
The double track system is going to help a lot because usually the school has a limited number of students they give admission to in the school. But due to the double track system, they've doubled the number to enable other students gain admission into the school.
I think it will help a lot of parents because first, we used to pay school fees, which were very expensive. But because of the double track system and now free education, the parents wouldn't have to worry about paying school fees and then buy uniforms. It will save the parents some money.
Then they assume you too. And come in, some yes, again, be enfamitria 15 million, 10 million, come in Nibian can buy betria.
My name is Benedict Obindakun. I've benefited from the free SHS and the double track system, track green. When I came here, the environment was good, and the dining hall, the food is perfect. So I like the double track system. Thank you, Ghana. Thank you, government.
Double track need the Isn't say we show schools need be or more facilities, ain't me accommodate in Colorado do a quan or more bus school. Intimidate say 1 or 2 months no be due with you. Bet me, I see their web is with school. Bet me, I see I go through a senior in our back into Oba school. You know, to say 1 near or more patch training now. It's a bad one, Palanum.
But your friend Esther Ada Menana na me bar. Dear me, who have a double track on home say, eh, when ye have me pa, say, the continuation, and I am a problem. Ati bibia na government for ba. No asan sesa. Say omebeye no continuation no match retro. If a new party bar, no so beto aso dia. E ka me kwa dia nkaye.
I was admitted to Pope John Senior High School. The free SHS is true. I came without paying any school fees. And then the teachers here too. So far, I can see that they are good. And then what I'm hoping is that I learn hard. And with God on my side, I want to get good grades.
With respect to the implementation of the double tracking system, I think it's a good initiative, and it will be my greatest hope that we shouldn't have anything to relate with political affairs. It should be something that should be added or set as a policy in relation to educational programs or institutions, so as to promote the level of education in Ghana.
During this vacation, I think private classes will be held for the students so that they'll be able to learn and not be idle, and they'll be able to exercise their brain. For I know that an idle mind is a devil's workshop.
It's a good initiative.
Me the Felicia Agbako. Ya wu mi wo dakpo. Na me de me ya kwa me ye goru goso ni ba. Se ne no nyame adarum. Na obi abeji akunwa no. Na osi awufu mu bre. Obi wo ho a ne ba na wie school no. Oko school no ma school fees yo ko ka kira. Ebi wa 50 million. Ebi wa 20 million. Ebi wa 15. Nesu sa 15 and say 30 million and say 40 million no oni bi. Nti aye den it say na basam go. O ma bo friend nko school no. Nso ene free education na ba. Eye abua yen awufu ne bebre. Menena yi ni oko say onya school no okonya wo hokwe. Mentu school musika bia. They say no na me work akire nana akufu ado say ye mamumu ni yo.
Your TV license is your civic responsibility. You can now pay your TV license fee at any of GBC's regional or district offices. There's also a standby TV license mobile collection team available for corporate organizations and religious bodies. It would be a shame to be imprisoned because you haven't paid your TV license fee. Please pay your TV license.
In 2017, the Akufo-Addo government introduced and implemented the free SHS policy, providing Ghanaians with free access to quality secondary education. In 2018, during the second year of the free SHS, government has introduced the double-track system to enable qualifying students equal access to the free SHS policy, which is largely oversubscribed. These are what some Ghanaians have to say.
The government introduced the double-track system to enable more students to get admission to school so that they can increase their literacy rate in the country. The first batch, which is the green track, they come to school for a number of days. And then after their period, the second track, which is the gold track, also come for a number of days.
The double track system is a program that's been designed by the MPP government to help enable students who are now graduating from JHS to senior high level, to enable them to go to school for free.
Member Bushemu, Menti and Amihu said, Ubi Abba Achimota. And I'm double track on the Banti. Am I a teacher? If you have some banaso, I'm not be piated.
The double track system is a good idea. Whoever sat down to make it has helped a student from such village to enter this school. I think it's a good idea.
The double track system is going to help a lot because usually the school has a limited number of students they give admission to in the school. But due to the double track system, they double the number to enable other students gain admission into the school.
I think it will help a lot of parents because first, we used to pay school fees, which were very expensive. But because of the double track system and now free education, the parents wouldn't have to worry about paying school fees and then buy uniforms. It will save the parents some money.
Then they assume you too. And come in, some coming yesterday be and family 15 million, 10 million, come in Nibian can buy betria.
My name is Benedict Obindakun. I've benefited from the free SHS and the double track system, track green. When I came here, the environment was good, and the dining hall, the food is perfect. So I like the double track system. Thank you, Ghana. Thank you, government.
Double track need the air. Isn't say we should schools need be or more facilities, me accommodate in Colado do kwa or more bus school. Intimidity say ye chema, ebema at a chair for any form of Colani, so betting your show. Anna learning materials, classroom environment, Nina Beboa.
Your family, your boy, and Juliet. Me free Accra La Paz. Minion in your Ganas, and I didn't buy it. But the free SHS, is very good. A boy parent, And my name be Anka first, and I was saying, Anka, ye banner, the sending now so at it. Am I?
Addressing a topic of planning, which is a very fluid profession. Depending on where you look at it from, you can have as many aspects of planning as the number of people we have on earth. These are but a few. In Ghana, we do not have all of these areas fully developed. And so we have all of us in the practice of spatial planning basically being generalists. So we do a bit of everything. That is not to say we are expecting all of that. And I think it's not about only planning. In almost all professions, you have general practitioners. And so you have urban design, regional planning, and housing, people focusing on heritage, landscape planning, so on and so forth. But in Ghana, I don't think anybody will survive if you decide to focus just on one area. So that is the first information I want to give. But we have planning history in general, and we do have an aspect that focuses on spatial planning. Actually, in the 50s and 60s, if you said planning in Ghana, nobody knew any aspect of planning apart from town planning. Spatial planning. Nobody knew anything about planning apart from town planning. And that was the direction in which the world was. But as we moved on towards the 70s, there were concerns about addressing poverty, not in terms of designs and making cities look good, because there were observations in areas such as Chicago in the US where you had very nice streetscapes, and then you go just 20 meters beyond, and it's appalling. It was a sad view to observe. And so the concern, yeah, we can have beautiful cities and so on and so forth, orderly environment, healthy environment, but let's have programs that go to deal with the softer aspects rather than focusing on the brick and mortar. And so that gave birth to the aspect of economic planning as we have it now. And then over time, this traveled to even KNUST, which used to focus very much on spatial planning and nothing else. I'm sure Dr. Abrampa, went through some of these transitions. Of course, by the 70s, towards the late 70s, there was some shift towards environmental planning also. And so you observe that our colleagues in the Scandinavian side are still very much buried in that. If you say planning in any form, they move you to environmental planning. But today, let me say that we are focusing on spatial planning as we've been told. Kojo did justice to this, and I'm wondering if I should go back to that, except to say that this is a very old profession. In the 1870s, we were already doing town planning, but not in the form we know it today. It was being done by sanitary inspectors, the environmental health people. And so if you travel to any old village or town, you find, if you go to the core of the town, you find these nice straight alleyways, block after block. Very, very nice, laid, fairly narrow. These were done by not people who were trained as spatial planners, but people who, as a result of environmental sanitation concerns, thought they should do something to ensure that there's free flow of air, there's free aeration, and then sanitation can be well managed. He spoke about, but we went through this bit by bit till 1945, where there was a consolidation of a particular law to deal with spatial planning in Ghana, known as CAP 84, which died after 72 years. I think it lived long. In 2016, on the 23rd of December 2016. This law officially died. But the point is that we have traveled far thinking they didn't forget planning. So we're thinking of decentralized planning alongside. And so the idea of district assemblies were being crystallized. And all of this found their way into these laws. Even though there were laws seen as local governance laws, they were essentially planning laws at the same time. So if you look at the late, always will have a dedicated section for spatial planning. And I think up to date, the new one also has that. So this is our journey. But let me say that by 2009, LI 1961 forcefully said, look, we were not going to go slow on decentralization. So everybody moved down there. So you remember when there was a ceremonial launch of the transfer of people from the center to the base. You remember in 2009, and then people, of course, functionally, only a few were transferred. Really, a lot of us remain here in Accra. We are still here. So the fact is, Accra is still heavy, and there's really nobody down there doing the work. By 2016, we had one consolidated act known as Act 925, the Lands and Spatial Planning Act, dealing with spatial planning matters in all angles. And even as Kojo said, if you go to the Local Governance Act, the law says to itself that at any point in time that I contradict this act, Act 925 should supersede. So I think that was a nice thing to do, rather than getting ourselves in confusion. I'm not a lawyer, but I know, of course, you can't have a generalist purporting to know something better than a specialist. And so Act 925 is a specialist act in spatial planning. If you put it side by side, the Local Governance Act 936. In this presentation, when I say spatial planning, I would interchangeably use these words: town planning, urban planning, land use planning, human settlement planning. Just accept it that way. Throughout the world, that is how it looks like. Depending on which part of the world you are, they use these terms so interchangeably that if you are not careful, you'll get confused. I don't know if to bore you with definition, but the whole business of spatial planning has the singular objective of achieving order, achieving beauty, achieving good health and safety. And so it's not just about drawing lines. As you draw the lines, you look at the aspect of economy, environment, political, the society, the ecology, and so on and so forth. So you would come to realize that when we say spatial planning, town planning, I mean, all we know is a piece of paper with lines and grids, roads here and plots here, and then that ends it. But the fact is that it involves all of this. For any line that is drawn, there is something in mind. Okay. Regarding population, there's some thinking about shelter, where people live. There's thinking about infrastructure. Of course, you can't determine the size of a road if you don't have in mind what the size of the carriageways are going to be, how many drains you are going to have. Are you going to have a median? Are you going to have service lane? Are you going to have pedestrian walkways? Are you going to have non-motorized transport ways? And so on and so forth, before you determine the size of the road. So there's a lot of thinking that we do. Of course, land we can't escape. We also have institutional issues, economy issues. That is very important because these days you see a lot of plans and real estate people go and they're always talking about building residential units. You hardly will see any real estate company saying, I'm all out for industrial plots and so on. So apart from these people around OEB who are trying to mix things up with some economic development, the Apollonia Group. Yeah, everybody's just building houses as though we're going to sleep and just sleep, keep sleeping and doing nothing. that's not the reality of life. So what do special planners do? We don't do everything alone. We are supposed to be coordinating a process. So any plan you see is a product of somebody called a special planner who is holding all the bits together to be able to create the plan. Let me not waste too much time. But this is a profession that is so hemmed between a lot of structures, and it just sometimes gets us confused and frustrated. Let me say it bluntly, that to have an institution being tossed across ministries for close to 18, 20 times at any point in time. I haven't been in the service for long, but I've seen us being moved up and down, local government, Ministry of Environment, and here works. By the time I came, we had just came from Works and Housing or so, Ministry of Lands. I think this is it, and it still continues. So you have, as we speak, the special planning function is there under Environment Ministry. You have local government working with Office of Head of Local Government Service, RCCs, and the action is taking place at the MMDA level. Yet this is buried here with its regional offices, and we are told that they have regulatory and supervisory functions over this. What exactly do we mean? And then we have Ministry of Planning and NDPC, and then you have very important partners, VRA, TDC, Ministry of Planning, of course, us, GIP, there, who have very important roles. But in the scheme of things, you don't see these guys clearly. So let's look at what is professionalism. The Public Services of Ghana says that professionalism means high standard of performance expected from a person who is well trained in a particular job. So in this case, we are talking of the special planning job. Of course, it's about ethics and standards. But the point is, if you have a certificate in planning from KNUST or any university around the world, does that make you a professional? Okay, some are saying, others say. We would answer that. Obviously, that doesn't make you a professional. Now, the practice of special planning really was not, the professionalism aspect didn't come into the spotlight until bodies like GIP, began to be formed, where the practitioners themselves thought that we have to have a way of policing ourselves and delivering according to certain standards. Then this thing came into the limelight. To date, we have grown to a level where we have about well over 600 members, and we are part of the Commonwealth Association of Planners, and we currently hold the vice presidency of the Commonwealth Association of Planners in charge of West Africa. And we work with a couple of institutions and laws to ensure that professionalism is enforced. Now, GIP is an association of professionals. It's voluntary. It's not by force. You do not, nobody forces you to join. And so the point is, if you are not part of us, then we do not in the first place have the opportunity to regulate well your activities. That is the problem. You do have in the National Development Planning System Act a lot of procedures which imply that if you don't follow such procedures, then you are not professional. So inherently we have provisions on professional conduct and ethics in such a law. We have a lot in the Planning Act. For example, it says in black and white in certain aspects that if you're a certified special planner, you can't do certain assignments. That is clear. And it talks about you making consultations on some matters. And it talks about a situation where you are an officer, director in charge of the district, fine, that's your big position. But if in case somebody's refused a permit, the person has the right to be guided by you, who superintended over that process, to appeal against yourself. Nothing can be self-checking than this. That it's like you want a visa and you are refused, and they give you papers and say appeal against us. It's the same system that has been created in this law, which I think is very good. Let's look at the basic professional standards across the world, basically, I should say. First of all, if you're doing spatial planning, you have to look at public interest in mind. Very, very important. you have to look at community participation in the plan preparation process. People have to know how you arrive at a plan. Okay. You also have to disclose enough. And Kojo mentioned the public data room issue. And the idea in this act is that if we have a public data room, then people have the chance to come to an assembly, demand to go into a particular room where all relevant documents on decisions regarding spatial planning have been deposited, and for which reason the person has a right to go and make reference to that. But the fact is, we currently do not have them in the assemblies. We also have the issue of independent professional judgment. There is no plan covering an area. You are the officer, and somebody brings an application to build. It's a difficult job to exercise judgment and say, okay, if I allow you to build in future, how do I predetermine that we're going to continue building? What about if an industry comes up? A chemical industry decides to also, having acquired land and having a land certificate comes up in the same area. So you need to exercise very careful judgment. And then it is also a matter of professionalism to deliver what we call quality and timely service. And then also avoidance of conflict of interest. Your MP comes looking for permits, and then somebody calls somebody, and before you realize, they've wound around your neck a complex web of ropes that you just cannot find your way out from. And it's a difficult job. So it's easy to bash and say, oh, this is not going on well. But we all call ourselves. A lot of you call me every day and say, Mohammed, me permit to be a baby. And you go into it and you realize that there are certain basic things that genuinely have not been followed. And so, but Mohammed has to come in. And once you begin to go in, you undermine professionalism in some respect, I must say. We also have issues having to do with continuous education and research to support our professionals. This is also a matter of professionalism. I have to admit that GIP really hasn't done very well in this area because the refresher training programs we have for our members is quite voluntary, unlike in Nigeria where it is compulsory. In a year, you have to attend at least one. I just returned from Abuja, joining our colleagues there to do some events. And I mean, they have quite stricter laws and processes and regimes than we have. Let's look at the issues we have with professionalism in Ghana. From the universities, you realize that the course structure does not provide opportunity for students to know something about ethics and professionalism. I didn't have the opportunity. At least it wasn't in black and white. My professors may have implied in the course of teaching me, but there is no course. And I think we have to look at that. The special planning practice as we have it in Ghana is overly compartmentalized. It's seen as a job for town planners. But all of us, I'm sure 3 in every 4 people here have been to China or any of these Asian countries. And then if you go to the special planner or town planning outfit, you have the town planner here, you have the architect here, you have the land surveyor here, you have the civil engineer next, and you have the urban geographer, urban economist, urban sociologist. And together they create the communities we all want. You cannot have one person purporting to be in charge and knowing everything and creating the sustainable and livable communities we're alluding to. We cannot really. So it's a challenge, but it's a matter of the structures of our institutions where you have schemes of services that do not create room for people to join together. So you have survey and mapping as part of Lands Commission, and they are sitting somewhere. You have architects there. You have town planners there, surveyors there. And we assume that when it comes to doing the job, we can bring ourselves together and deliver. It doesn't really happen because we do have personal interest. I have every incentive to not want to collaborate with my colleague from Survey and Mapping Division. Maybe I don't want him to look into certain things. But if the structure was such that I had no option, I wouldn't have had that option. So that is a key issue that affects professionalism. Nonetheless, or interestingly, my boss would tell you, and which I have to admit, that in town planning today, we have people who are in the profession who never had any training in any aspect of town planning, not even geography. Yes, not even sociology, and they are there. They have found their way in there. We all know why, because we have challenges. I hope you don't giggle too long. So if these people do not have the chance to be trained and retrained and be given solid closed-door induction training, and they are heading your district, you want professionalism in their duty? No, you can't. So, and also we do not have the staff. Kojo spoke a lot on this. So LASFA is currently operating at 7.9% at its staffing capacity. Kojo said 150, that's nationwide. At the MMDA level, they have 132 staff operating there. And then we need 745 to operate optimally. So look at the gap. Subtract 132 from 745. You see the gap in there. So what happens to the remaining districts that do not have the benefits? They are being manned by anybody, including our land use technicians, development planning officer who read Arabic in Legon. He got recruited and he's heading a district and he thinks he's a planner, so he can by extension handle special planning because there's no special planner. That is the reality. So we can't have professionalism. These are the realities. If we don't address them, we have all this confusion, then at the end of the day, the blame comes back to Mr. Dakra. That is not the point. The point is about some complexities we really cannot understand. Also, in the Land Use and Special Planning Authority, there is no clarity today on the position of middle-level staffs. We call them technical officers, but they are like land use technicians. They are like the lab technicians in a hospital working and supporting, or a nurse or something. These guys, in our scheme of service, do not have a clear-cut entry requirement that gives them opportunity to have benefited from any planning education. No. So he comes with draftsmanship, building technology, here, there. He learns something from anybody. And then he comes in. And he has a challenge. And so that clarity we need to have. If the agreement is that we should have the polytechnic, now they are now universities, right? To handle, because they are practical people, let's agree on it that way. And I would, before I end, call on the Minister of Planning for us, maybe for them to note this. It's a very important thing. The middle-level staff have to have clear entry-level requirements in terms of qualification. Anybody who is just good at picking something and drawing something has some chance to be part of this. And the truth is that they cannot manage anything. We do not have a planners registration council. The engineers just had the engineers council. We have architects registration council. Is that correct? And these are state sanctioned institutions that can withdraw your license and so on and so forth. GIP cannot, because it's an association of professionals. So we need this council to regulate people, to sanction people. Like we have the General Legal Council and so on and so on. If you misbehave as a lawyer, you lose your license and so on. We have to have that for planners. We also have unethical issues related to when places are not planned, the officer is forced to do something there because there's pressure. Sometimes the plans are prepared, they don't go through approval, implementation starts. That is unethical. That's not professionalism. Plans are not regularly updated. That is not to blame you, my colleagues. You have a plan which is supposed to be updated every 5 years, and it is. I just saw one on my computer, Colegono. It's as old as my great-great-grandfather. And I mean, it hasn't had the benefit of undergoing review. And you have an officer who has to preside over this. And he's just presiding over impossibilities. The Colegono population in those days is long changed, about 200 years ago. So, and then we also have issues of relating to disclosure. We don't disclose enough to people. So if you come to apply for a permit, for example, how it takes you to get a permit, what happens if you don't get a permit? I don't think an average officer will bother his head telling you that, oh, if I refuse you, you appeal against me, you may win. Or if I do this, and I'll be sanctioned. They will not. Or if you are coming, okay, this is the total fee. You can't have all of those information. You knock your head around. And that is not professionalism. Rent seeking, must I say more? No. And then intrusion into the jobs of allied professionals. We all do it. You see town planning, special planning person forcing himself to do survey job, or architect purporting to be town planner. A lot of the bad plans I see, they are from SMD. Because the surveyor does base map, and he takes something and I'm saying as a matter of fact, and from experience and from where I sit. These issues come, you just take it and everything is wrong. And the real estate people, they want Jinahoji, quick product. Professional will charge me. So just do the lines. The plots, how many have you gotten? 300 and this. Let's move on. And then so there are issues we are grappling with. And then we have substandard plans, generally, which an average person here cannot see. I'm sorry, I should have posted some examples for you to see, and I'll show you where the problem is. Would have done diagnosis together. You have a plan which generally is not based on a sound base map. And so there is a wetland, and he was on the computer or on the table. So he didn't know that there's a wetland. So he puts plots there. And then you go and buy it. And then you are sitting in the middle of a wet environment. So we have that. Then you have, we call something cul-de-sac. There are roads which are closed roads. So when you drive on it, it doesn't go through. They have to be very short. So you just drive and realize, oh, this road is not going through. But we have communities where you drive almost a kilometer only to discover the road is not going through. These are, so if we had put a plan here to audit it, you'll see all of this. Then you have inaccessible plots. You see a plot, there's nowhere to access your house. So you have to beg somebody to make do with breaking part of their wall for you to go. And these are plans prepared by people who claim they know how to do. And I was quite quick in blaming some of my counterparts. We also intrude into their area, I must say. Then double frontage plots. The guy doesn't know how to do that thing. So he has a plot, and the plot has a road here, road here, road there. Wasting land. You just have to have one major access point. And then you have designs with what we call irrational road intersection geometry. This is big English. But what it simply means is you have a road, for example, small access road of about 40 feet, entering into an arterial road of about 300 feet. That is, and you are throwing this small Tico onto a big road like Motorway or Independence Avenue. Let me give you examples. From the airport traffic light towards Shangri-La Former, on your left, you see these houses, which open directly. And even the airport police station is also a culprit. It's not supposed to happen. I'm speaking for my colleague architects now, because when it happens that way, they have a hard time doing their job. All the traffic has to collect at a point and then exit on what we call a collector road. These are mistakes and then you see a road, we call it Stagger T Junction. You go to Adenta Snake Flats. Whoever knows there will bear witness. You are coming at a crossroad. Once you get to the crossroad, the road does not go through direct. You have to swerve a little bit to the left or right before, I don't know, those there, you'll see that. It's very confusing. And then you have roads at 45 degrees. Every junction has to be at 90 degrees. You knock this way so you can watch here, watch there before you drive on. But you see a road at 45 degrees, you can watch here, you can't watch, you can't see anything there. And once these designs come to stay and people buy plots and they begin to build, you have less. And then we call some things place. At every junction, if your plot is at a junction, please, this tip doesn't have to be 90 degrees. We have to cut it this way. It's called a place. So people can clear their views, left, right, before they. So, and you see 90 degree and wall, tall and big man, everybody is doing the wrong thing. Sometimes the professionals do it, but the people there go to, of course. But it remains that this is unprofessional. Limited provision for pedestrians. All our plans behave as if everybody is driving cars. the truth is that we wouldn't have a situation everybody in Ghana would be driving. God intentionally created classes amongst us. I would drive, you wouldn't. You would drive, I wouldn't. So let's give chance to those who want to walk. Sometimes we own the cars, we choose to walk for health benefits. You don't have that. And there are two reasons. The problem is either from engineers or from us planners. Sometimes you have the reservation. ECG will come and put poles all over, destroy the reservation. Sometimes transmission, these days I see the outrageous thing. I wish there was somebody here from Greco. It's a time bomb just waiting. Transmission lines running over people's roofs. Any child born in that house, by the 15th year, they will taste one cancer or the other because of the low field radiation. That's scientific. So, and everybody is helpless. Then sometimes the fault is from the special planners because the reservation is so small that there's no room for carriageway, drain, walkway, service lines, planting area. It's too small. You have a 30 feet, which is approximately 10-meter road. What can you do with it? So these are some of the problems. And then failure to provide for complementary land uses. You see a plan and plot 100%, house to house to house to house. You create green space, the chief will tell you, hey, it's expensive, plots cost more money. So, and then you also bend backwards to meet the chief halfway. Sorry. This is, all right, so bending backwards. Somebody comes with a land certificate. The place is not good, but usually, once a person has a land certificate covering his land, he almost has some 70% chance of going through, because the special planners get intimidated by the fact that the person's interest in the land is well catered for. So if I say I wouldn't allow him to build, what happens? But the fact is that you have the right to own your land, but you don't have the right to determine how you use it. But it's a difficult job our officers find to do. But in as much as it is difficult, it is unprofessional for you to keep looking at the difficult side. Collusion with non-compliant developers. Sometimes a developer is wrong, but he has a heavy hand. And so you have to meet him halfway. And then zoning regulations. Sometimes you come, the place is supposed to be 5-story. You want to build your house, nice one, single story. Cost-mate, approve. So this is unprofessional, it's unethical, but it's very difficult sometimes. I'm just raising the real issues. Withholding essential information. Sometimes we withhold essential information. That is unprofessional. So the more I withhold information, the more power I have over you. It's a common principle of life. So that is also unprofessional, because you are supposed to disclose as much information to the person and also demand as much compliance from the person. Then you see who is who. Yeah. Then, yeah, I don't want to be going too much. Then we do not have the Planners Registration Council law. We don't, also, I said it already. Then there's no cooperation between GIP and the, on the intake of professional planners. So I went around one day and I was shocked to find professions. I'm not undermining or demeaning them, but I was wondering what somebody who majored in Arabic, what business he has sitting there as a planner of any kind. That's shocking. But you have a state-sanctioned institution which took them in. What can I do? That has to stop. That has to stop. And at GIP, we are very serious at it. We are working hard at it. I had the occasion at Public Services Commission to strike down the promotion of 2 senior officers, I don't want to mention the institution, who one was a computer person, one civil engineer, and they were aspiring to be heads of the planning department of that organization, very big organization. I said, no, I wouldn't be part of this. I can walk out and then you do it, or I sit in and they walk out. And mine prevailed, because we can't, if you didn't go to law school, would you be admitted to the court to defend somebody? So let's be real. Then we have weak link between we and the academic institutions. So they train, they pour out, they turn out the people, and then we now decide what to do with them and what professional guidance to give to them. And then GIP currently, as I said, it's a voluntary organization. So we only have control over you if you are part of us. If you are not part of us, then automatically you are out of our remit. But the point is that we would want the Office of Head of Local Government Service, Civil Service, to assist us to block this phenomenon. You go to PPMED directorates across the country with, I don't think I need to apologize for this. And then you have a plan from NDPC, and then they raise so many red flags and bash planners, only for you to discover that that guy has no business sitting on that seat. He's clueless. He's just from experience seeing the way we do certain things, procedures. But the point is, it took somebody 4 years to learn those basic principles. It can't take you a month or two to grasp them. I have been trained heavily in engineering from Japan. Asphalt pavement construction, bridge maintenance, underground tunneling. But there's no way I can hold myself as a civil engineer when you have engineers there. Same with architecture and so on and so forth. So we are very serious about this. Also, I think I spoke about lack of continuous professional education. We have a law called LI 1630. And on page 94 or so of that law, there is a tall list of institutions in Ghana which are exempted from, let's say, permitting. So you have the military, universities. What hurts me is even mining organizations. You have, of course, diplomatic missions. It's understandable. And then the presumption is that these institutions have the capacity in-house to handle their own planning matters. Police service. I go to police depot, police training school, and you have public toilets all over. Go to Accra Central. We have exempted them, assuming that they have the in-house capacity to handle their affairs. Yet they can't. And yet we can also go in there. So how do you address professionalism? It's a difficult task I think we all have to look at. I'm happy I'm driving to the end. So by way of recommendations to create professionalism in spatial planning in Ghana, I have just flipped all the problems and issues to the other side and then called them recommendations. So what I'm saying is that we have to have a Planners Registration Council. So if I misconduct myself, my certificate is taken off. I witnessed in Nigeria some 3 people being dragged to court last month because they went and did some job and held themselves as planners when in fact they were not certified as such. We have to have those days here so that we say we'll be ending the lemo. I think we have gotten to that point. And then Office of Head of Local Government Service, Office of Head of Civil Service, Public Services Commission should help us to limit the intake of people who do not have basic qualification in the field. To be accepted into a law firm or into a pharmacy or something, you have to have the basic. If I don't have that, I can't. And yet, because planning is so multidisciplinary, we think everything else goes. And then we turn around and complain. So we want that cooperation and collaboration. We have some code of ethics that in-house GIP, I am tasking ourselves to revise and at least apply to our members. By way of recommendation, we are also saying that we have to have mandatory continuous professional development program. So Office of Head of Local Government Service, Civil Service, let the planners there know that by force, in a year, you have to attend a course to improve your knowledge. Because the world is moving so fast that some of us are hundreds years behind, when indeed we are just 30, 40 years by real age. I think that in KNUST, UDS, and the other allied institutions that are into the training of planning professionals, they have to introduce courses specifically addressing professional standards. So as a student, you know basics in terms of do's and don'ts when it comes to the practice of spatial planning. Then we have to all help. It's not about Mr. Docro or somebody alone fighting to get people recruited. The point is, you have nearly 50% of 254 MMDS left to the mercy of anybody who thinks he's a planner to manage. And we want nice things. Nice things don't fall from the air. So it's a clarion call that we all have to do, to join hands and see how we add our voices anywhere. Some of us have the capacity from our desk even to assist. Let's do that. Your village may benefit. All right. Then we want to enforce, recommend that we enforce strictly Section 47 of Act 925, which is talking about public data rooms. Public data room, when established, you can walk in and say, oh, I need a plan for, if it's there, it will be lying there. You look at it and know how your neighborhood looks like, at least on paper. Or if any major planning decision was taken, you are likely to have the records there. So we're advocating for that. Of course, public education has to be done seriously. You see this yellow law document, I saw one there, Act 925. It's so loaded that if the public gets to know what is in there, it will be enough to some extent to uphold professionalism in us. Because you do A and they say, no, I know this shouldn't be this way. And that will be the first step towards checking things that are really not going well. I'm not a fan of conclusions because usually I don't know what to say. I have said all I need to say. But I conclude by what I just said. I think we need to open the eyes of our compatriots. When their eyes are open, then they can, at the minimum, ensure that some right things are done. And they will also help us not to assist them do the wrong things. Because sometimes you help us do the wrong things. I have to say that. So I would not end by, again, calling on your support to help us pass the Planners Registration Council law, Section 195 of the Land Use and Special Planning Act says that such a body should be formed. Yes, so the foundation has been well laid. And so we will need your support. Of course, it is my business to start, me and my boss. So later or at any point in time, we'll be calling you to come and help us. Help us to get this law drafted, reviewed, and eventually passed. On this note, I hope I communicated in a way. I'm not too sure. But thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Presenters for a reaction, or you can also contribute to whatever has been said here. So can we take the first batch? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we'll take you for the second batch. So the first person, can you please let's try and make our questions very short so that we can cover a lot. Please, you mention your name and you come up with your question.
That is what is moving me to ask these questions. I think my first question is, they have mentioned a lot of things. I realize there are bodies regulating policies of planning within this country. What I want to ask them is, any time as a country we come out with new laws, planning laws, what happens to the existing ones which are in conflict of the new one? I've heard them saying that any time any of the laws conflict, the new ones, but is that the way we have to go about it? Because in Tema alone, there are a lot of conflicts when it comes to these things. TDC is there. Ghana Ports and Abos Authority is there, who said they also have their own planning system. TDC is also saying they are established by legislations and all are in conflict with the special planning and land use law that the Assembly is using currently. And there's a whole lot of issues. And at the end of it all, it is the developer who suffer. In Tema now, every developer pay 2 different permit fees for TMA and for TDC. For how long are we going to continue like this? What I want policymakers here, if together we can agree that anytime a new law, planning law is coming, then we should also take it upon us to look at the existing ones which will be in conflict. Because if you don't take time, these things will continue. I have decided, we know in Tema, the previous chief executives were fighting with TDC every time. I've decided not to fight with them anytime these issues come up. But I believe if we have policy makers when it comes to such things, then they should look at it. If the law establishing TDC is no more, they should be able to say it. They shouldn't tell us to go and tell them that the new law supersedes or override the old legislation that they have. That is where I think we are facing these challenges, and we have to look at it and find a direction on how this dual authority within the Tema area can be resolved. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The next person, please. 3. Yeah, I think there was another person. Yeah.
Thank you very much. My name is Clifford Kufa, right for the Ghanaian Times. I would want to find out what concrete measures can be put in place to resolve the special challenges we are having. For the old communities or towns, Accra, Tema, the problem has been created. But every now and then, day in, day out, the adjoining lands, we keep seeing sprawling communities, and their situation is worse than what we complain about in Accra, Tema, and Kumasi. So I would want to find out what exactly can be done to ensure that if we have lost the old towns, at least we safeguard our planning system with the adjoining lands and build modern communities as well as sustainable communities. That's what I want to find out. Thank you.
Okay, mine is a contribution because of the ministry I'm coming from, environment. Yeah, mine is a contribution. Actually, if you look at take a cursory look at the Land Use and Spatial Planning Act and then the institutional reform that has taken place, I see a bright future and a solid foundation for spatial planning, except that we still have the issues of the resources resource